What's going on, Nerd Squad, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. While the Marvel Cinematic Universe shows zero signs of slowing down anytime soon, with the announcement of 10 new shows and movies coming to Disney+, it's never gonna end. But it's time to look back at Marvel's line of comic books showcasing ways the universe can end for some of our favorite heroes. Some of these ends are quite dark and brutal, while others are pretty tame, at least more tame than how they ended in the MCU. So here to break down 10 of our favorite The End comics, I'm Taylor McWatters, you're you, and just stay sitting right there. Let's get to it. Kicking off the list at number 10, Fantastic Four. Written by Alan Davis, we pick up on this issue 20 years after the death of Franklin and Valeria Richards. So in this 6-issue epic, we see the return of Dr. Doom, and he's got a bit of an upgrade. He's rebuilt himself after the Mutant War, and now he's more machine than anything. The Fantastic Four, of course, reunites to take down the returned Doom. Now, I have to start this at number 10 because for an end story, it feels like they're just coming back together to save the day. The stakes are high, of course, but not too high. Still a great time nonetheless. But before we go on to number 9, if you guys could go ahead and toss us a thumbs up, because it really goes a long way for us here at the studio. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Now back to some dark endings. Number 9, Doctor Strange. Written by Leah Williams, this 2020 comic marks the final days of Doctor Strange. He's older and alone. That's right, we pick up in this cyberpunk future world that just forgot about magic. He is the last true magician. Not even David Blaine is left. That's how desperate we are. So he makes the ultimate power move to restore magic to the world, going toe-to-toe with the cosmic entity, Eternity. This one-shot is amazing, and fans loved it, noting that the tone of hopelessness is carried out well throughout these pages. Even casual readers will be pleased with the way things come to a close in this emotional closing chapter. Number 8, Miles Morales. Written by Saladin Ahmed, released earlier this year, The End, Miles Morales, older and wiser, struggles to defend a post-apocalyptic Brooklyn. With this new warlord who thinks he's just this new patriotic hero, basically just a crazy, mad version of Captain America, and he plans on taking out Miles, and then of course Brooklyn will no longer have a leader, making it for easy pickin', as he says, of course. Now Miles needs to sacrifice himself to save the day, and it's quite a lot for a single one-shot, but it's a pretty fitting conclusion all in all. Number 7, Iron Man. Written by Bob Layton and David McKelney, we see, of course, an older Tony Stark explaining that he spent 50 years building Stark Universal into the global juggernaut that it is today. That's 50 years of battling bombs, bullies, and buyouts, only to have a more subtle enemy slip through my defense when I wasn't looking. Time! Yeah, so Tony at this point is looking for a suitable replacement for his tech and eventually for Iron Man. And he finds this in a young scientist named Nick Travis. But an Iron Man story feels almost incomplete without another big bad metal suit going against Tony, and this time in the form of Ultra Dynamo. The comic touches on Tony's declining health, and for a one-shot, it's actually a pretty decent send-off. A little bit different than how he went off in the MCU. A little less sad, I think. Number 6, Wolverine. We love to see an aging, dying Wolverine. I mean, Logan was one of the best superhero movies I'd seen in a very long time, and the R rating just needs to happen for some of these stories to be told, or at least have them told properly. So in Wolverine The End, we again see an aged Wolverine as he embarks to take down the last of the Weapon X program. All the while, he's dealing with himself becoming less and less immortal. So this 6-parter is a lovely time. It opens up with Wolverine in the snowy landscapes of Canada, struggling to even hunt a deer. A deer! And then he reminds himself how old he's getting, because as he tries to pull his claws back in, it pains him more and more. That's not a good sign. The voice in Wolverine's head does a lot of heavy lifting for the narrative, and watching this struggle is sad yet weirdly poetic. And on top of this personal problem, he has to deal with his long-lost dead brother in order to save America from a nuclear fallout. Fans have expressed how the final antagonist was a bit over the top in a story like this, but the soul-searching Logan must-do makes it worth the read after all. Number 5, Marvel's The End. Of course, this 6-part series written by Jim Starlin is full of cosmic chaos. The heart of the universe, first discovered by the Celestial Order, brought peace, of course, to the universe. They picked the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaton as their agent on Earth. Now, this power eventually started to corrupt him, and then he travels to present-day Earth to kill most of Earth's mightiest heroes. So Dr. Doom's like, whoa, no thank you, and then goes back in time to try and kill him while he was still a human, before all that jazz. Which is a great idea. I mean, like Rhodes recommended in Endgame, the whole plan for Thanos. But it of course doesn't go as planned, they can't just do that. So Akhenaton doesn't let this happen. Thanos has now entered the chat. The Great Titan becomes aware of this power. He gets together with the remaining heroes like Captain Marvel and the Defenders, and then Thanos destroys the machine that allows the Order to use the Heart's power. So where does this power now go to? That's right, you guessed it, right into Thanos. So Thanos uses this newfound power to go back in time to take down the Order before they found the heart of the universe. And on top of that, also prevent Doctor Doom from killing his past self. And to make matters worse, the Living Tribunal gathered a bunch of, cosmic beings like Eternity, Infinity, Death, Galactus, and the Celestials to stop Thanos. Number 4, Punisher. Written by Garth Ennis, this 2004 one-shot features a lot of F-bombs, like holy and takes place, of course, in a post-apocalyptic future, with the time being referred to as simply soon. So this is soon. Awesome, lovely, thank you for the heads up. So we open up in Sing Sing prison. During a nuclear fallout, Frank Castle has been in the prison for years. He's laying low in the fallout shelter in the prison with some other prisoners until he decides he's had enough, breaks out, and then heads to New York City. He brings along with him Paris Peters. He's an arsonist, which is a perfect sidekick, and they head to New York just traveling through radiation and remains of buildings. It truly does look and feel like the end. So they find the Manhattan bomb shelter and they get in, but they quickly pass out. Why? Well, because that radiation they ignored, it starts to finally kick in and cause effect. They wake up in an infirmary with doctors explaining how they're gonna die within the coming hours, and then Frank of course kills them all brutally, and then goes on to discover a boardroom with the Coven, who he found out about during his time at Sing Sing. So the Coven is a group of generals, senators, billionaires, anyone important, basically the people in power responsible for escalating the war just for profit gains. So with twists and turns about who they really are, Frank will face the biggest challenge of his life, all while against the ticking fatal clock. Number 3, Venom. Written by Adam Warren, Venom the End is a tale older than time, or something like that. See, the one-shot spans over 1 trillion years, with Venom traveling through space and time, and it starts off with the symbiote dealing with the death of Eddie Brock. Or not dealing with, rather, is I guess more appropriate. So Venom is now set on bringing back Eddie, and bonding with everybody in the universe sure is one way to try and make that happen. That's right, Venom becomes the guardian of the last organic beings in the universe. It's wild. Each page is just covered with content. It takes time to really absorb it all, because it's a pretty wild ending, and it's beautifully drawn as well. Cruz delivers these epically detailed space battles that complement one of the best Venom stories ever created. Straight up. Number 2, Deadpool. Written of course by Joe Kelly, we have the final Deadpool story, which is shocking because Wade's known for cheating death more than a few times. See, this issue deals with a lot of Deadpool's past. It's quite enjoyable. They touch on his relationship with Death, touch on his daughter, his ex-wife Shikla, and then all the while there's some brutal killings just to make it fun, which looks better than ever with Mike Hawthorne bringing those pages to life. Part of this issue shows Deadpool squaring off against an Asgardian Gundam Deadpool, so we got some cosmic elements sprinkled in nicely. Now of course the issue has a lot of heart, because while being immortal, Deadpool has to watch his loved ones age off and die. And he wants to be with them again eventually. Now it's not just one ending in this issue either, there's multiple endings, which is just so fun, each totally different than the other. Some endings are like these Hollywood endings, some are happy, some are sad, some are scary, and on top of all that goodness, we see Blind Al dressed as the Black Widow. So if you're not sold by now, I don't know what else to tell you. And finally coming in at number 1, we have Hulk the End. Written by Peter David, released in 2002, Hulk the End is a one-shot that takes place in a world where nobody is left but Bruce Banner and the Hulk. So in a world probably resembling our near future, following a war that ended in, you guessed it, nuclear fallout, the issue starts with Banner vlogging. Yeah, he's accompanied by a vidbot, which is a floating camera that always hovers 10 feet away from him, keeping that social distance, I like it. And is basically assigned to confirm and record the fate of the final human on Earth. Banner doesn't mind it at all, but the Hulk, he hates it. God, that would be so annoying too. I feel like TMZ is gonna have these soon, just following you around like, Matthew Perry, what's going on? So Banner just absorbs all this nuclear energy, and now he walks about the wastelands that he once called home. Totally alone though. No, God no. I mean, he has these giant mutated cockroaches to keep him company, which is beautiful and also so disgusting. They look very moist the way they're drawn. And it's a really dark and cold ending for Bruce, literally. I mean, the Hulk just wants to be the biggest, baddest creature ever on the planet, and Banner, he wants to die. He's ready to die. The ending is wild here. I mean, Bruce suffers a heart attack, but the Hulk still remains. So if the Hulk were to transform back into Banner, he would also die, which is a no deal. So with the last words of the Hulk reading, Hulk, strongest one there is, Hulk, only one there is, Hulk feels cold. Wow, I guess we all feel kind of cold after that one. Thank you, Hulk, for making our heart go, And thank you guys for sticking around to the end. But before we finish up here, we of course have to head over and take a look at some of our comments from our last video. These ones come straight from Top 10 X-Men hookups you won't believe. So if you haven't seen that one, go give it a click after. Okay, first comment comes from Card Captors Rules. They say, did anybody else hear someone giggle at the beginning of the video when he talked about Colossus's thing? I did, and it's our producer, Chris. I like to throw little random lines in there every now and then, do some improv while I'm here, and then when I hear him chuckle or laugh, I know I'm doing something right. It's great. Wakes me up at 10 a.m. hearing that chuckle from the darkness. Next one is from Michael Ross. They say Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch hooking up in the Ultimate Marvel Universe is just disgusting. Hey, you're telling me I'm the one who has to reread these issues and then explain them in full detail, okay? And some of those images are just stuck in my head permanently, all right? I can't even watch any Avenger movies now. I'm like, oh, they're gonna definitely. And I think a great comment to leave this one on is from Rogue Quake Witch. They say Twincest was the worst thing that came out of the Ultimates. And yes, I agree. Also, thank you for the new term. I'm gonna take that and put it in my back pocket and save that for some sort of dinner down the road. I'll bring that back up. Awesome. And you're all great. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment down there for yourself. They make us smile over here and occasionally chuckle in the dark. And in the meantime, stay home, stay safe, and keep reading comics. I'm Taylor McWatters. You're you. See ya.